Welcome to Uncomfortable, conversations about culture and Christianity. My name is Eric, and today I'm joined by Rachel.
Hey, everyone.
And Alex.
Hey, everyone.
Are you just copying Rachel?
I did.
I'm really enjoying your quarantine stash, Alex. It's coming in nicely. I know you've gotten some negative feedback, and I would just like you to know that I'm in your corner. And if I need to also have a mustache in solidarity, I'll be happy to do that.
Maybe next
week.
We'll see how long it lasts.
I'm looking forward to Rachel's mustache too.
Yeah.
No, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks again. Here we are in quarantine. Looks like the grips of things are starting to loosen a little bit in the near future. We'll see what that means for everyone. Like if that's.
I'm sorry. I see your son back there.
Oh, my son. Yeah, he's just hanging out. He wanted to be on the podcast, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, our governor sounds like they're trying to open things up a little bit more, but we did. Alex, I should say, not we. Alex sat down with Emma this week to talk to her about her experience, and if people don't know who she is, she was probably, I mean, I think technically the first case of COVID-19 that was in Omaha that kind of, brought a lot of news, a lot of people talking. And maybe, Alex, you can even elaborate on your introduction of who she is. And
Yeah. Emma is a gal that's been at CCC for a long time. So if you've been around CCC, she's a familiar face, just always smiling, happy gal at the church. And she was, Nebraska's first COVID-19 patient, had just come back, and she'll share her story from Europe unknowingly, and really didn't know that she had it for a long time after going to doctor after doctor after doctor for just some medical issues she already had with migraines and things like that. And so once she found out she had it, she was Nebraska's first COVID-19 patient, which put a lot of people into a panic. And we'll talk later about maybe the ugly side of how people reacted to some of those things. But really, I mean, we've had a lot of guests on this show, awesome people, but I think this is one of the first times we've had literally somebody who's like a walking miracle, on the show. It really is miraculous that she was able to be with us and where God's brought her from over this time. And so I'm excited for people to hear her story, and it was awesome. So,
yeah.
Well, Emma, thanks for being a part of the podcast today. So you tell us about you. You have gone to Christ Community for about how long, would you say?
Since junior high.
Junior
high. I was going to Morton Junior High, and my best friend Heather Sheffield was in 8th grade at Morton, and she invited me to junior high youth group back then. And since then, I've been going to Christ Community for years. And then when both of us graduated from high school, she again invited me to Campus Crusade for Christ on February 28th, 2003. And for like 2 years, I was asking questions in my head about who is God really, and because I was going through some hard stuff at that time. And the speaker of the night at Campus Crusade was talking about what will it take to fully commit to God and at the circumstances of what is really going on in your life.
Yeah.
And I wanted that for my life. So on February 28th of 2003, I finally gave my life to God. So for now, it will be 17 years as me being a Christian, walking with God. And through that, I've been having different roller coasters hit me, and I had Christ Community and other churches pray for me to battle it out, to come to a other page in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're one of those people that always, I remember even when I was an intern at Christ Community, that was like 11 years ago. I remember seeing you around, and you would sit in the front row, and you're one of those people that always comes in with a smile and brings a lot of other people joy. And so I remember that about you. And so, and then when I came back on staff, seeing you around, it's always been fun to have you a part of the church family. So that's awesome that you accepted Jesus and have been a part of that, and found some community from other people. So for you, recently, one of those big trials in your life was you ended up in the hospital, right? So this whole coronavirus thing happened, and you came back to Omaha after a fun trip, and then tell us what happened. What got you in the hospital?
Originally, me and my dad, I was adopted when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So I was just like you, Alex, as going through foster care after foster care through the system at the age of 5 months to like 2 years old. And I was placed in the NCOR MSU unit in town, and at 1 year old.
Wow.
And there was a lady that became my adopted mom from Iceland that fell in love with me.
Wow.
And decided to take me on and brought me into her life and home at the age of 2, and finally adopted me when I was 5.
Wow.
So if without her in my life, I wouldn't be where I am now, having a good life, instead of having a rough life with other people that might be a bad influence on me.
Yeah, that's cool.
And my dad is from England.
Okay.
And me and my dad went up to England to visit my grandpa that would be turning 100.
Wow.
On April 19th. And got to spend a week um, with him and my uncle and my soon-to-be aunt, and I had a great time with them. Then I came back and I did my Special Olympics basketball tournament in Fremont. Got in second place.
Good job.
And I got hit in the head by the basketball by the other teammates. And that's when it started with my migraine headaches.
Yeah.
And over that weekend, I went to Women's Methodist 3 times for a migraine shot. Then I went to my primary doctor that following Monday to check myself out because I was having some cold-like symptoms along with my migraines. And they said that I had a cold. So I didn't really think about it at first that I had COVID-19. So continue going back to Women's Methodist that week. Then on March 5th, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I ended up I'm back, and the doctor that knows me from the main campus Methodist noticed that my O2 stats and my breathing was off. So I decided to do x-rays and other type of testing. And that's when I found out that I had COVID-19 and pneumonia.
Wow.
So they shipped me to the main campus Methodist.
Yeah.
Then May 6th, in the evening of May 6th, I got transferred to the Biotenement Center unit at UNMC, and I was intubated and sedated for a couple weeks, and they woke me up a couple times when I was sedated, and they put me back under, and they slowly lowered the oxygen levels, and I was completely confused and groggy.
Yeah.
When I started to finally wake up, and
Wow.
I didn't know where I was, who I was, etc. The more that I was aware of my surroundings, that I was asking where's my family, and they gave me a clipboard and some computer paper, and I was writing notes and tapping on the clipboard for them to read what I was saying. And where is it? I have my notes here.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's crazy that, to be sedated for a few weeks and just kind of lose that much time and, out of your life and not know where you're at and wake up without your family or without anybody that you love next to you. That had to be shocking.
in March 24th, they finally took out the ventilation vent out.
Yeah.
And immediately I called my dad and said, hi, Daddy. And he was so happy that he started to cry on the phone with me.
Yeah, that had to be a special moment for him. Because he couldn't see you for a few weeks, right? And he had to be quarantined in the house, and right? And so you had nobody to talk to. Woke up scared, confused, but you woke up, which is good news, right?
Yep. Then I started to do some physical therapy on my own, to sit up in bed and start standing up on the side of my bed for a couple minutes. And then from there I took off walking around my bed and sitting on the couch.
Wow.
And then on April 4th, I came home to Dad's house to they've been testing me for the COVID-19, and it went back and forth from negative to positive for like 5 times.
Wow.
And they decided as a team that it would be best for me to go home to be with my family to recover quicker with my family. So on April 4th, I came home, and since then I feel 100%, slowly feel 100% better. Yeah. And since then I had no COVID-19 symptoms, and I went on car drives and went to my apartment with my dad.
Yeah.
During that time, and they're doing this whole time from the beginning of March till now. I felt like I'm giving up on everything. But I had a bunch of close friends and my family, and the body of God that would surround me over the phone or Facebook chat to encourage me to fight for my life during this time, and told me not to give up. And the Channel 7 KEVT news station came out on April 9th and did a clip on me.
Yeah.
And told them that I'm a survivor of the COVID-19 and a fighter.
You are, yep. Yeah, I remember first hearing, that there was the first patient in Nebraska and no one really knew, but then as we were starting to hear, that it was you. I remember the church, we were just praying, and then I remember going on your Facebook wall, and you were still, out, but people were writing on there that they were praying for you and caring for you. And then I remember finally seeing when you updated it and you were able to walk and share some of those things on your Facebook, just rooting for you. And yeah, you're a walking miracle. Even as you and I have been talking here on Facebook chats and things like that over the last few weeks, you've improved a lot. You don't have to have that. Well, what'd you name it? Fred?
Yes,
Fred. Yeah, your pole that you had to walk with for oxygen and your feeding tube and.
I didn't have oxygen.
Oh, no oxygen.
But I just had that feeding.
Oh, just the feeding tube.
Stupid feeding tube called Fred.
Fred, the feeding tube.
It was very annoying.
Yeah, I can't imagine having a friend like Fred walk around with me everywhere. And last week you passed, right? You passed your we prayed together. You passed your swallow test. And what was the first thing you ate?
2 weeks ago, Thursday, I was supposed to have the swallow test.
Yeah.
But my doctors at the med center didn't know anything about me coming in to do the swallow test.
Oh, okay.
So they had to cancel on me. So I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I was so looking forward to eating my Jimmy John's that week. So they called back a couple hours later to reschedule for last week. And I was very anxious and worried why if I pass or didn't pass,
yeah,
that I'll still have Fred with me. And I passed it with flying colors. And
yeah.
I went straight to Jimmy John's and got my number 9 Italian nightclub with a bag of chips and a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, it had been months since you got to eat something like that, right? So
a month and a half.
A month and a half. Whew, that's a long time. Yeah, I remember you calling me. You called me right after that, and you surprised me. And there was no Fred. Fred was gone when you called me back. So that was a fun call to get from you. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey. And yeah, for some people, surviving COVID-19 with just normal health has unfortunately not happened. And so God's been able to carry you through all the complications, and obviously a great medical team at the med center to care for you and your dad's support and your family's support. It's such a blessing to get to have you on here today and even get to talk to you about your story and catch up with you over the last few weeks. So what have you learned? Like what things has God taught you, would you say, in the middle of this?
I just have to giggle about it because usually I'm a very patient type of person, and when I want something to be done in me and through me, I want it done right away.
Yeah.
On my power.
Yeah.
And I learned that it doesn't work that way. And I have to rely on God more.
Yeah.
And trust with Him, with what He's doing for me. And through that, to trust the healthcare providers and the other authority that is overriding me
Yeah.
of their judgment
Yeah.
for me, and I can't overrule or overtake them down
Yeah.
with my opinions.
That would be hard. That'd be hard to do. And so, have you been able to see, like, through feel God's love through all the people that you've been able to talk to, and knowing that these people have all prayed for you, or have you been able to sense His love through all this?
Yeah, most of my, actually, all of my life, all of my life, I feel like I have like insecurities of what if that person likes me or that person doesn't like me or love me the same or not.
Yeah.
And being afraid of people in general,
Yeah.
due to my background, with my mental health disorders,
Yeah.
that once I'm doing, and after I got my bad case of coronavirus, that I felt the love of my family and my circle of groups that really does love me for who I am, and I don't have to prove anything to them.
That's good. That's good. That's a lesson we all could learn from, because I think all of us probably deal with some of those insecurities, and we worry too much about everybody else's validation and what they think about us. And so that's good that God's taught you that, and He's using you to teach even me that and teach other people that. And so it's such a gift to have you and to see, literally, you're a walking miracle, right? For you to survive this, and you've got other health complications in your life. And so to make it out of there, and now you're back in your apartment, getting to live by yourself, and man, things that probably a month and a half ago looked like maybe they wouldn't happen. And so such a blessing to get to have this conversation and see your face and hear your story and what God's done so far. And He's going to continue to do things through it, right?
Yep.
He's going to use you and your story for really powerful things. I believe that. And it's so cool to get to call you a friend and get to have you be a part of the church and be encouraged by you today. So are there anything else you want to share?
On Easter, my grandpa passed away.
I'm sorry.
So I was happy that I went to see him when I could, because I didn't know when I will see him again at that old age.
Yeah.
Being 100 years old.
Yeah.
People in this world would take things granted.
Yeah.
Holding on too tight of having people or processions or whatever it might be for them right now, that we should learn through this whole COVID-19, that we need to kind of let go of those processions and live loosely and not hold on to those things tightly, like we have learned as a kid.
Yeah, that's so good. We do want to hold on to all those things, and now we get to see in moments like this what means the most, what's the most precious, what the best things in life are, and hopefully learn to let go of those things that don't matter as much. That's so good, Emma. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being willing to have this conversation. I think your story is a story of triumph, a story that God has written alongside you, and he's going to keep using in the lives of people. And so we're going to continue praying for you, continue praying for how God's going to use you. And we love you.
Thank you, Christ Community Church, and everybody else that is outside of the church for supporting and loving me for who I am. Over the past month and a half.
Wow, what an incredible testimony, an incredible story, just to hear her experience, and also Jimmy John's. Like that, I lost it when she said that was the meal that she was waiting to, like, she gets the feeding tube out. What's the first thing you want? Jimmy John's.
Hey, that was like my favorite order too. So I was right there with her.
Oh, it's awesome.
Dr. Pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one other thing that really stood out to me too, that I think it was kind of interesting, is that, like, she went to visit her grandfather, and she mentions towards the end of her story there that he had passed away, like, not long, like on Easter, I think, like after the visit. So just kind of the whole timing of that, and the fact that she actually did, if it wasn't for the trip, she wouldn't have probably contracted it, but also she wouldn't have got to spend that time with her grandfather.
Yeah, that was good. And I think I love, so much of what she said, and just even her story leading up to this. And the life that she hasn't always been easy, before this. And so this obviously put an even bigger wrench inside of things. But I remember, like, kind of as this was slowly coming out, like, Nebraska said first COVID patient, and then they made, allusions to your dog. Also,
sorry, are you being distracted?
Yeah, sorry. They made allusions, to Fremont and, the Special Olympics there, and kind of all those things. And I remember being at a wedding, the night before, like, I found out officially who it was, and then kind of that sitting with some people from the church wondering who it might be based on all of that. And I heard it was Emma, and really was worried about, knowing some of her health issues and things like that she's had. But it literally is a walking miracle, that she's been able to make it out and share her testimony and share her story. And I think God's going to continue to do things in it. But I think we also saw some bad sides of humanity as we were hearing this. And anytime something major like this happens and there's speculation, I remember, like, next door posts, like, of people, like, just putting her name on blast, or like mapping out everywhere that she went and all that kind of stuff, because there was panic. I think people wanted to know what had happened. But she's such a sweet gal, and like she said, she had no clue. You go to the doctor, I don't know how many times, the hospital, I don't know how many times before professionals are telling you all these things. And so it was it was
even to her credit to go, because I mean, I don't know that I would have went with some of those symptoms. You just think, like, oh, it's probably a cold, I'll probably get over it. And so she had even gone to her doctor a couple times, and they kind of played it off as a cold. So and and to your point too, Alex, I remember watching, like, a Facebook live stream of a local news when this stuff was breaking, and people just kind of, I mean, they just get mean on there, and they're like, well, how come she was going around town and all these places, and blah, and it's like, well, your doctor's telling you, oh, you just got a cold, like, you'll be fine. It's just all those little details that get added into a story later that, people don't take into account when they're just ready to, like, pounce on someone, which it's just really helpful to have that extra perspective.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like these past few interviews have been like some of my favorite interviews, just to listen to, like, because I feel like we can see how God is working in such powerful ways in the midst of all of this stuff that's happening. And I think it's so cool that we get to listen to these different stories of people who are being so impacted by this virus, but also seeing how powerful God is in their lives and how he's working. And it's just like so encouraging to just kind of get those glimpses. So I loved hearing this story. And I think one of the biggest things that really stuck out to me was just the fact that when she got admitted to the hospital, like people can't come and be with her. You know, and like at that point, how like terrifying that is, you know, and I've had to go to a couple of doctors this past month, and my husband can't go to the appointments with me sometimes. And it's like, even just that is not fun, because you're like, you want someone to be there supporting you and encouraging you, but to go into the hospital and not have anyone to be there with you, and like how afraid she must have been. And just, I would have been so scared. And, you know, it's such a serious disease. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Or even to hear her say that, you know, when she was able to call her dad, you know, and just imagining being her dad on the other end, to go, like, he wasn't able to visit, he wasn't able to know when she was awake or whatever. Like, that had to have been such a powerful phone call to receive.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about, I mean, just waking up after days of not knowing where you're at, and just the confusion and all that kind of stuff, and the fear. Because, I mean, you're not in just like a normal, you know, hospital room either. You're in a biocontainment unit where there's people like walking around in full garb, you know, that you don't already know, and that's already probably intimidating enough. Like, I can't even put myself in those shoes. Like, imagine waking up, you know, after that amount of time, and then just kind of seeing that, having questions, not being able to speak because you're inundated, and you've got, you know, tubes running everywhere, IVs. Just how scary that had to have been. I can't imagine. So. Yeah. And for family, you know, I mean, you're obviously getting updates probably from the hospital and from the doctors, but like to not be with that person and wonder if they're going to make it out on the other side, all that kind of stuff. Just and I think they were quarantined themselves, you know, after that. I think her dad, you know, I think contracted it, in one of the newspaper articles I read. And so just all the circumstances going into it is just wild, surrounding it. And so. And
yet she has so much joy still. Like, I mean, she just like still kind of exudes it. Like, she wasn't down on herself. She wasn't, I mean, she just still was so positive. It was just so encouraging to hear that in her voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really related to the part at the end where she talked about how what she learned and how she tries to be patient and just like, but it's hard because you want to control everything. And I feel like for me, that's been one of the biggest lessons in this whole thing is like control, you know, because I feel like you say, oh yeah, I trust God. Like he's in control. Like, you know, I'm fine. He's in control. But until something like this really is in your face and you don't have control of so many things going on around you, it really starts to test that trust and that faith. And I just love that she kind of brought that up. And I feel like that's something a lot of people are trying to learn about right now. And I'm learning, you know, oh wow, I didn't give God as much control as I thought I did. So yeah.
And throughout the process, it's, you know, been fun for me to just at the end here the last few weeks journey a little bit with her. And yeah, she mentioned, you know, that the food, you know, the swallow test. And I remember that like Thursday I was praying for her, you know, the night before she was supposed to have the first one. And then like just the disappointment, you know, to find out, hey, you don't get to have this appointment, and it's going to be a week before, and you know, you get there and you find this out, and you're looking forward to this. You want to, you know, kick Fred to the curb, that feeding tube, and all those kind of things. Like just the disappointment inside of that, and all the things that continue to happen. And this whole time, like she's been ministering to me, like like you said, the joy that she has, and you know, it's like I'm supposed to be whatever ministering to her. That's my job, but she's been, you know, ministering to me to put things into perspective for me. To just voice a lot of those things, you know, that she was voicing about our control on things and the things that really matter, and her ability to have gone and seen her grandfather, and then like grieving in the middle of that. That was Easter. That would be hard for anybody, you know, but you went through all of this journey, you know, as well, and you just lost someone that you love, and they're you know, across the world. And so just so many small things inside of this, and seeing how she's responded throughout it all has been a blessing, you know, for me, and deep ministry in my heart, and so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I was also encouraging just to hear how her group of people from the church and the community rallied behind her and supported her, and you could tell that was a huge impact on her. And just I'm sure, like with a story like this, you know that she was a fighter, that she had to fight through this. Having those people in your corner is just really impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously medical people that are awesome. It highlights some of the blessings we have in Omaha, but also the power of God. And so that she's made it out there, and people literally we know have been praying, and she sensed that. And so, giving him a lot of glory for that. And I think he'll continue to write that story and get glory because of her and the struggle she's been through and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I'm hoping for everybody. Hers is way, beyond probably what a lot of us have struggled with, but I think there's hope inside of that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Great story. Thanks, Alex, for taking the time to connect with her and letting her share the story. And thanks to everybody for listening. If you have any other ideas or things you'd like to hear on the show, let us know. You can reach out to us on social media at CCC Omaha. Or you can also send us an email to podcast@cccomaha.org. We'd love to hear your ideas or maybe even criticisms, I guess, if you're nice about it. Or
if you want to be on the show, just show up to Eric's living room and
just pop in behind me like my dog has been. She's just been like bombing this whole episode. I feel you kind of had to like stop your statement mid-thought earlier while the dog was distracting you. So if you're just listening to this and not watching and you're wondering why Alex randomly said something about my dog, that's why. Hey, it's the fun off the rails vibe of this podcast has taken on since we've been doing it, the quarantine version. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks guys for joining us. And until next week, we'll talk to you then.